She's a poor high school dropout from a single-parent home, but she can be useful as a slave. At a dining table laden with delicious side dishes and fresh fish carpaccio, in front of his parents, Leon said with a laugh. I felt my ears burn with embarrassment at such a terrible introduction. There had been moments in our cohabitation when I questioned Leon's attitude. But I had overlooked them, thinking we might become husband and wife. But to be insulted like this in front of his parents was beyond belief. Before I could worry about what his parents thought, they suddenly burst into laughter. What's this, some kind of prank? I didn't know you could joke like that. They said, looking at Leon casually. What? Confused, Leon stared back at his parents. I swallowed hard, witnessing this interaction. My name is Julie Brown. And I'm 33 this year. I've hopped between various jobs, but currently, I'm working part-time at a restaurant. I wanted to work full-time, but since my mother, a single parent, fell ill a year ago, I've had to balance work with her care. Since I care for her after returning from work, these days are quite exhausting physically. But I'm determined to help the mother who raised me. Despite her insistence on going to a facility, I want to spend as much time as possible. Knowing how I feel, she thanks me every day with a smile. Both my restaurant job and caring for my mother are my passions. If I can be useful to someone, I'll gladly take on any challenge. My mother always taught me, be useful to others, and it will come back to you. This philosophy has ingrained in me, and I've dedicated myself to every job. Before I knew it, I was over 30 and starting to think about marriage. I wasn't initially desperate to get married, but recently my mom kept saying, I'm worried about you when I'm gone. I wanted to find someone nice soon to reassure her. The first thing that came to my mind was a dating app. It seemed popular lately, frequently mentioned in the news. Meeting someone through an app and getting married seems quite normal these days. I was nervous about signing up at first, but it turned out to be quite fun. I was surprised by the sheer number of messages I received daily. However, many seemed to be just for fun, and Leon was probably the first one who seemed seriously into marriage. I'm Leon Miller. Nice to meet you. I first met Leon face-to-face through the app at a certain cafe in New York City. Coincidentally, we lived in the same neighborhood, and he agreed to my suggestion to meet there. When I first met Leon, he struck me as a fine young man with handsome features. He was a year older than me, very friendly and likable. He's a lawyer. A catch by any standard. I wondered why such an eligible bachelor hadn't married yet. Excuse me, but have you ever considered marriage? Yes, but work always took precedence. This time I'm serious about finding a partner, someone sincere like you, Julie. Leon seemed skilled at flattering women. We hit it off talking about his career and our past relationships. Leon definitely seemed to be popular with women. Unlike me with few romantic experiences, Leon seemed to have been popular since his student days. There's something I need to tell you. What is it? I wanted to share my insecurities with someone I might date. I'm actually a high school dropout and currently working part-time in a restaurant due to caring for my mother. I've done various jobs, but if you're okay with someone like me, I'd be happy to keep talking like this. I had never told anyone about my educational background on a first meeting before. But I thought Leon would listen without mocking me. Leon nodded seriously upon hearing her confession. Is that so? You must have faced tough times. But now you're doing admirable work. There's nothing to worry about. Leon's words made me so happy that I was almost in tears. I felt immensely relieved and valued, realizing that Leon didn't mind my social status or education. Since that day, we met several times, and after 3 months, I took the initiative to confess my feelings to Leon. It was my first time and I was quite nervous. But Leon, to me, seemed like the ideal man. Not because of his profession as a lawyer, but his sincere demeanor in conversations. Seeing his serious expression when talking to me and realizing he treated me as an equal always made me happy. I expressed my feelings to Leon, and when he said, "I love you too, Julie," I felt an immense joy. Furthermore, Leon was already thinking about marrying me, so we decided to date with marriage in mind. The future, spending time with Leon, who was now not just a boyfriend but a fiancé, seemed exciting. I now understood why my friends were always so eager to talk about their boyfriends, even when nobody asked. The joy of being with someone you love is irreplaceable. But at that time, I didn't know that. My relationship with Leon would take an unexpected turn. Alright, I'm counting on you for cleaning, laundry, cooking, and taking out the trash. I'm busy working all day, you know. When Leon and I started dating, we decided to move in together quickly, considering our age. We chose an appropriate apartment in New York and agreed to split the rent. Honestly, I wished Leon, who earned much more than me, would contribute a bit more, but I felt it was hard to complain due to my situation. On the first day of us moving in together, I was stunned by his words. Cleaning, laundry, cooking, and taking out the trash. Does that mean I have to do all the housework? I need to take care of my mom at night. Of course, it's obvious. I'm an elite lawyer, and you're just a high school dropout doing part-time work, right? I'm busier and earn more, so it's only natural for you to handle the household. I was struck by a dull shock. To think that Leon, who had once praised me for being admirable despite being a high school dropout, was now belittling me and dumping all the housework on me. His attitude was 180 degrees different from when he had praised me during my confession. My mind was in turmoil. What's going on? Is this the real Leon? Is this some kind of prank? A whirlwind of doubts swirled in my mind, but if it were a joke or prank, it would be in extremely poor taste. That meant Leon's words were serious. No way, could it be? Was Leon this kind of person all along? Pretending to be solid and reliable to lure women in, only to cast them aside once he's got them. I've often heard that many men stop caring once they've caught the fish, but with Leon, it's beyond that. It's like throwing the fish on the ground and abandoning it. Alright, I'm off to work. Please take care of what I said earlier. Leon left for work without even considering my point of view. I felt like I was plummeting from the pinnacle of happiness into the depths of despair, engulfed by a dark cloud of anxiety. Living with Leon wasn't just about being burdened with all the housework. He often went out for meals after work, claiming it was for business. And many times his company was other women. I knew this because he brazenly told me, "I'm going out for drinks with a girl tonight." His attitude seemed defiant, as if he had nothing to hide, but I wish he'd consider how it felt to be on the receiving end. Even if Leon loved me, treating me like a slave since moving in together made me doubt his feelings. Often, Leon wouldn't return until late at night after going out. Usually, I get home in the evening, drop my things off, and then head straight to my parents' house. Fortunately, it's just 2 stations away, but juggling a part-time job, all the housework, and caring for my parent, I was exhausted every day. Leon would occasionally leave for meals without a word, leaving the dinner I made to go to waste. And when he returned drunk, looking at the dinner I had prepared, he said, "What a waste of food! Why did you make this stuff? I thought you were coming home today." Huh? I haven't been coming home for days. Can't you figure that out? Do I have to spell everything out for you? This is what I expect from someone who only finished high school. Despite Leon's lack of communication, he berated me for being a middle school dropout. His words filled me with anger. The reason Leon had never been married must be because he's been deceiving women like this. That's who Leon really is. I was the one who got fooled. But I refused to be his puppet any longer. How can I get back at Leon? 2 months into living with Leon, I was cleaning his room when I happened to notice his laptop screen open. The messaging app was left open, and a particular message caught my eye. It seemed Leon hadn't read it yet, but there were a lot of notifications. With trepidation, I opened the chat screen. "What's this?" I was shocked by the content of the conversation. Delving deeper into his messages, the more I discovered about Leon, the more I felt a chill run down my spine. I've stumbled upon something big. Alone in the room, Trembling with shock and fear, I was glued to Leon's chat screen, taking pictures of it with my smartphone. The next day, Leon invited me to visit his parents' home. I wasn't in the mood, especially after what I had seen, but he had already told his parents we were coming. Feeling it would be rude to cancel now, I decided to go, thinking I would just say hello and then leave. I thought I was dating Leon as my fiancé, but my feelings were complicated. Wondering how to convey my current feelings to Leon and his parents, I headed to Leon's family home. "Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Julie Brown. Leon always takes good care of me." As soon as I arrived at Leon's house, I greeted. When I saw the faces of Leon's parents, I was utterly surprised. Because their faces looked familiar. Julie Brown. Could it be? Leon's parents seemed about to say something, but Leon quickly exclaimed, "I'm starving," so we all sat down at the dining table for now. "Hey, what are you doing? This isn't the time to be sitting. Hurry up and serve the meal." "What?" Leon glared at me as I sat down at the table. His parents were shocked. So was I. Coming to someone else's house and being told to prepare a meal, I didn't know what to do. Of course, if that had been the plan from the start, I would have been prepared, but being suddenly ordered by Leon, I was flustered. "It's okay, we've ordered delivery," Leon's father kindly said, but Leon snorted. "We shouldn't have bothered ordering this stuff. We could have just had her do it." At Leon's words, his parents seemed astonished. Eventually, the doorbell rang, and the delivery person brought some delicious food. It turns out it was ordered from well-known department store. As Leon's parents laid out the tasty dishes on the table, they said, "Let's eat." Leon then began to introduce me again. "She's a poor high school dropout from a single-parent home, but she can be useful as a slave." At a dining table laden with delicious side dishes and fresh fish carpaccio, in front of his parents, Leon said with a laugh. I felt my ears burn with embarrassment at such a terrible introduction. There had been moments when I questioned Leon's attitude. But I had overlooked them, thinking we might become husband and wife. But to be insulted like this in front of his parents was beyond belief. Before I could worry about what his parents thought, they suddenly burst into laughter. "What's this, some kind of prank? I didn't know you could joke like that," they said, looking at Leon casually. "What?" Confused, Leon stared back at his parents. I swallowed hard, witnessing this interaction. "You enjoy saying things like that, watching how we react, don't you? What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. Eyes funny. You knew we knew Julie from before, and you set up this weird prank, right?" "What?" Leon looked completely baffled. He clearly had no idea what his parents were talking about. Leon's parents seemed to realize that Leon's belittling words towards me were not a prank but his true feelings, and their expressions turned stern instantly. "You really don't know? You spoke about Julie as if she were a slave, not knowing the truth? What do you mean, I don't know? I always speak the truth, don't I?" Needless to say, those words were the last straw. Leon's parents' faces grew even more severe, and they both glared at him. "Julie's mother helped us a lot, you know. Back in Japan." "Wait, in Japan, with Julie's mom?" Leon looked at me, as if asking what was going on. It made sense he didn't know, as I had barely spoken about my past to him. I decided to tell everything about why I knew Leon's parents. You see, I moved to Japan during my high school days. I wanted to explore my potential and work abroad. Of course, my mother opposed it. She said it'd be better after college. But I knew our family was poor and that we couldn't afford my college education, so I went against my mom's wishes and moved to Japan. Leon's eyes widened in surprise as I suddenly talked about living in Japan during high school. My mom eventually agreed and came with me. I studied Japanese hard before moving, but it was still tough in Japan. However, Japan is more tolerant about educational backgrounds, and I managed to find a job. As I hopped between various jobs, I gradually became conversational in Japanese. My mom also learned Japanese on her own, and we lived comfortably.
In Japan, working? There's no way you, a high school dropout, could.
But I did. I even started an IT company with some local friends and caught a big break. About 10 years after moving, I had built up a decent amount of wealth. Enough to buy a brand new house with cash. And 3 years ago, I met your parents. Leon's parents nodded deeply at my words. Leon exclaimed in disbelief, "What?" Leon, you might remember, but your mother and I lived in Japan for a year due to work 3 years ago while you stayed home. We barely spoke Japanese and were struggling until Julie and her mom helped us out. That's right. My mother and I used to host events for American people in Japan on our days off. It was Leon's parents who we met there. They had just arrived in Japan and told us about it, and we often met to teach them Japanese and about life in Japan. Leon's parents were very happy to learn about Japan from my mother and me. We have great memories of having tea and going sightseeing together. So, I was shocked to unexpectedly reunite with them today. They had mentioned having a son, but never gave details. It might seem too coincidental, but such things happen, and now I've come to accept this reality. Mom and Dad knew Julie. No way. You wouldn't think so, right? But it's true, so what can you do? That's why we knew from the start Julie was a wonderful person, and I can't believe how you spoke ill of her. Leon's mom glared at him angrily. Like a frog being stared down by a snake, making Leon let out a squeak of fear. A year ago, my mother's health declined, and we returned home, but I'm still remotely working for the IT company. The staff there trust me a lot. At the restaurant where I work part-time, they value me for speaking Japanese. I'm a high school dropout, but I've always tried hard in everything I could do. Leon's face turned pale. He had always ridiculed me for being a high school dropout, but now he was shocked to learn that I was successful.
Why didn't you tell me something so important? You're rich, huh? Then let's get married after all. I won't make fun of you anymore, okay?
Leon said with a bright voice, suddenly being upfront. He had changed his mind after knowing about my substantial assets. But I'm not fooled by Leon's superficial words. What are you talking about? I have no intention of marrying you. Do you know how hard it was for me when you deceived me and then showed your true colors after we started living together? And speaking of deception, you've committed fraud using your position as a lawyer, haven't you? Fraud? What are you talking about? Leon's demeanor changed drastically when he realized I had no intention of marrying him. He was visibly shaken at the mention of fraud. I pressed on. I accidentally saw it on your computer yesterday. There were numerous complaints addressed to you. I'm sorry I looked without permission, but the angry words from your clients who were charged fraudulent fees by you were very justified. I have proof. I showed Leon the photos I had taken of his computer screen the day before. Leon's face contorted, and his parents' faces grew even more stern. You claim to be an elite, yet you deceived people and committed fraud. That's just the lowest. You probably ran through your money with your nightlife and are now drowning in debt, right? The moment you found out I have assets, you tried to take my money too. Truly despicable. Your parents are such respectable people, it's a shame. Please consider our engagement null and void. I glared at Leon, delivering these final words. Leon was crestfallen, muttering, "No way." Leon's parents seemed to agree with my decision, angrily shouting at Leon, "You need to go to the police right now."
Go to the police? No way. What are you saying? You deceived important clients, hurt Julie, and think you can be happy alone? What a foolish son you are. We don't need a son like you anymore. Go to the police right now.
Leon's father's roar echoed through the house. Stunned, Leon then let out a scream as if he had forgotten his voice and rushed out of the house. I'm so sorry for our foolish son. What can we do to apologize? Leon's mother said, holding my hands in remorse. No, please, don't apologize. It's also my fault for being deluded while in a feverish state. But thanks to meeting Leon,
I'm really happy to see you two again.
Thank you. Leon's parents looked down. We then reminisced about our time in Japan, and they expressed concern for my mother's health. They truly are good people. I may have lost a fiancé, but in return, I've gained a wonderful connection, which is a small consolation. Leon, as promised, turned himself in to the police and is currently being questioned. I suspect he was spending money on a woman. He would declare I'm going out for drinks with a lady without any guilt and leave at night. Leon, running out of money, deceived clients with exorbitant fees, trying to escape his debts. Then, he even targeted my assets. He's hopeless. Even if he comes out of police custody, the incident is already known around, and he will likely lose his job. According to his parents, Leon was always getting into fights with friends and was often called out by teachers in elementary and middle school. He even had police trouble due to these fights. It's a mystery how such parents could have a son like Leon, but he's only reaping what he sowed. Leon's parents have decided not to let him back into their home. I also believe that Leon should not be a burden to his parents. He has lost his job and fiancé, and must be in the depths of despair now, but there's no room for sympathy. He should at least pay off his debts on his own. Meanwhile, I continue to stay in touch with Leon's parents. They are planning to visit my family home soon. They want to meet my mother. Though I lost my fiancé, I am happy to have formed such a precious bond. Life, with both work and caregiving, has its challenges, but I want to cherish those who care for me and continue to live positively.